Hey guys, it's Carl again, and today I'm going to teach you how to empty your black tanks. Let's get to it. Alright, so we're here at the back of the RV, and this is where all the business happens. And so here I actually have already started on one tank. I have two black tanks, so I'm just going to run you through the process that I do in order to dump. There's no means the right way or the best way. It's just the way that I've done it, and it works for us, so I figured I would share that with you. So we do have, and not all campers have these, they have a flush valve here. So basically I have my fresh water hookup here, and then my rear black tank and my front black tank. So I have a bathroom in the front bunkhouse, and then I have a bathroom, the main bathroom with the shower. And so everything in the bathroom here in the shower or the back bathroom goes into the back black tank, and everything in the front goes into the front black tank. So the nice thing with the flush valve is that I can hook up this water hose and then pump water into the back of the tank, or from the top, I'm not exactly sure where, and then it helps push all those solids and everything out the tube here. So you'll see I have two tubes. The green one here, this has been running now for about 10 minutes, and it's flowing pretty clear. And you can see down here, maybe not, there's little windows on here, and I can see that right now it's just clear water, and that's what we're going for. We're going to get all that stuff we can out of the black tank so it doesn't smell, and then also any toilet paper or anything, we don't start building a pyramid inside the tank and then causing backups later. So we just want to, if you have the time, you don't have to do this every time, but it is a good habit to do it when you can. So flush it. If you don't have these, you can shove a water hose down the top of your toilet and then just run it, and that will help. The one thing though with that is make sure your black tank valve that you're pumping the water into is open, because there's people that have they've done this on accident, where they've like even our neighbor, he was telling me he had his black tank valve shut. He's just filling it to get more water in there. He walked away, got distracted. All of a sudden, he heard this loud boom, and the black tank blew up, and everything came pouring out the bottom. So don't be that guy or girl. But anyway, I'll show you how I do it. One thing with these flush valves is they do come with a backflow valve here, and so it's a valve between your spigot and the water hookup, so that way water that's in here can't flow back into the valve, and then you later would be drinking that. So it's always important to have this thing. I've seen people where they've put it over here, and then on this end, which is fine if you are always doing that. For me, I had this hose dirty already, and I didn't want to then move it over here and then hook the hose up, and so basically a dirty hose then would be touching the fresh connection to the water. So that was a big no-no, and so just be mindful of those things if you're going to be doing that. So this tank is running free and clear, so we are going to shut the water off, and we'll start just as if we're going to do a brand new dump. So alright, so we got the water shut off, and so we're going to start fresh as if we're just first time flushing our black tank. So what we're going to do is hook up our flush hose, and make sure you do not use the same hose that you use to drink from. Please don't do that. It's gross. So it's a separate hose. It's only for this purpose. And what we're going to do is I'm going to drain the front tank now, and so go ahead and hook this up here. The other thing, I'd highly recommend latex gloves. I do have latex gloves. The reason I'm not wearing them is because I'm not really touching anything that's totally gross, and I'm gonna wash my hands anyway. But if you're not comfortable with it, wear the gloves. I'm fine with it. I think I'll be okay. I've done this several times this way. So anyway, we got the water hooked up here. This is still off. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this on. And then I'm going to go to the front here. You'll see here it says gray and black tank. And we'll come under here. And here's my black. I'm going to pull it. And now what will happen is everything in that tank will start to run down this hose and into there. So fluids are starting to come out now. I will let this run probably 10 minutes or so, depending on how that fluid looks. If it's clear after, say, 10 minutes, I'll shut it off, and then I'll show you that process too. If it's still that way, I'll let it run a little longer. I have the time, and so I would just take the time to do it. If you guys are in a rush at the time where you're at a dump station, you need to quickly dump and go, it's okay not to do the flush. I've done it several times. Just know that you should do this every few times, like every other time or every third time or whatever you're comfortable with. It's your black tanks, you can do what you want, but yeah, that's still flowing. The other thing is to consider your usage with the tanks. So, for example, our main bathroom, which is the first tank I dumped, that gets used a lot by mostly everybody in the house. Our daughter, my wife and I, and my mom use that, and then that's also where they're taking a shower, so when they're in the bathroom taking a shower, they're going to go use the restroom. That front bathroom, though, doesn't get used a whole lot. It's either my mom or my daughter, and really it's very scarce. So for that one, I'll dump it maybe every 2 dumps. So I'll wait a time, I'll dump it, and then I'll dump it again later. So it's really your preference. I just like to wait because it just doesn't make sense for me to just do this both times. I'll do the main bathroom every dump, every 3 days or 4 days, and I'll do the front bathroom every 6 days or 7 days, whatever I'm doing the dump. So that's that. And so now we just wait. One thing to point out while we're here and we're just doing all this, these Rhino hoses here, so they're the gray or the orange hookups and a brown hose. They work really well. They're great hoses. And then these stands, so these hose stands, and what they do is they're tapered, so it's higher on that end, and then it kind of helps guide the hose downhill, just allowing the fluids to move smoothly down the hose and not just stay clumped in one spot. They're great. We have them for both hoses. You know, sometimes you'll see here, like I have my brown hose go over the green one. Not the best case, but honestly, you don't smell it. It's not like it's gonna do anything or do any damage if it's, you know, having to make up that little uphill thing. So they work great. I would highly recommend them. Alright guys, so it's been about 8 minutes. The tank there is flowing pretty clear. So I'm comfortable now just shutting everything off and going back to normal operations. So step one, once you got to this point where you're dumping everything, I would shut my flush valve off first. And if you're not flushing your tank, you would just skip this step. So shut that off. And then the other downside with having this backflow valve is that pressure does get built up in this line. So I would just open this a scotch just to let the pressure out. The reason for that is I'd rather the water come out there than come out here. Alright, now that's done. Now the black tank is still open. It's still flowing the stuff out. I'm going to disconnect this hose here. And we're done in there. All right, and then up front, we just come back to our gray and black valves. This is my black. I'm going to shut it. And the reason why you shut it, let me go make sure the other one's shut too, and I'll explain. Now the reason why you shut your black tank and you leave the gray one open is because you're using your grays a lot. So grays is like anything from your sinks to your showers, everything that drains out of goes into the gray tank. Well, you use it a lot, and I would leave it open while I'm hooked up stationary because I don't want to have to keep coming out here every couple hours and draining it, especially if you have a washer dryer. That'll fill it up probably in a couple uses. So leave it open, leave the black tank closed. The reason you have to leave the black tank closed is you have to think about the stuff you're putting in there. So when you go number 2 in the toilet paper, when it drops down into the tank, if there's no fluid in there, because the fluid would be just draining out if you left it open, it would start to pile up. And then you have this massive pyramid in your black tank of stuff you don't want. And so leave it closed. As you fill the black tank, the fluids and the solids will just hang in there, and then you open it and it'll pull a lot of it out just through draining it. So, and then the flush will actually help push the rest of that out of the hose. So that's why you leave that shut. So now both tanks are closed. They're back to holding all the fluids and everything that's going to be dumped into them. And I'll repeat this process probably in another 3 or 4 days, depending on usage. The other thing too, want to highlight, because you see this a lot with newer RVers, is that they look at their let me just show you. Tank alerts. So we have our black, it still says I'm full. Our black 2, our black 1 says I'm 2/3 full, and my grays are both empty. Those never work, ever. I think they worked the first 2 times, and then I haven't had them back since. So the advantage or the trick is to just listen. It's like filling up a water bottle. As you fill it up, it starts to change pitch, and you start to hear how it's at higher pitch, like it's filling up to the top. You'll hear that in your black tanks as you run the toilet. Then you know you got to drain it. That's really all you got to do. There's no special science. You're not going to really break anything if you're diligent about doing it every couple days. I mean, these things you just saw, I drained black tank 2, which be the front. It says I'm completely full.
Hey, knees are voting, please.
I ran it for 10 minutes. No way. So I never use them. And I've never met anybody that does use them because they never work. So don't beat yourself up if your things just start not working because you're like, what's wrong? They never work. So hope this video helps you guys. If you found it helpful, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. And if you do find the video helpful, like it. And if you think it would help somebody else, give it a share. We appreciate it and look forward to seeing you in the future. Adios. One last thing, I wanted to show you guys a quick tip that you might appreciate. So with that flush hose, because it is kind of gross water if you think about it, you know, if there's any backwash into that hose, it's kind of gross. So, trick that I learned, this here. Alright, a trick that I learned is you just roll it up, twisting outward as you do this. This isn't the trick. And then just screw these together. Oh my gosh, there we go. Screw them together. This is also a great trick for your fresh water hose because then you prevent anything from getting in your fresh water hose. But the nice thing with doing it with your black flush hose is that now nothing can get out, and so we're good to go. And then that backflow valve, put it somewhere where you won't forget it. So for example, mine, I just shove right there. That's it. And so now I know it's always there when I need it. This thing's dry and not going to leak anywhere, and we're good to go. So hope that tip helped you, and see you soon.